So I think we're live. I do. And it only took us 48 minutes. So we're going to kick it off with this, that leaders are learners. You ever heard that, coach?
I've heard it, and it feels like we're learning today. We're
It
always in
does.
learning mode, right?
It does. And honestly, I think it's a part of being a leader, quite frankly, in 2026, that we are having to be very adaptable and pivot and really, honestly, resourceful, I think, more than ever. And I kind of love it because, we got some wins today and we managed to go live. We might be a little late, but we're here and we showed up. So I love the opportunity for us to get started and start showing up, prove that whole bit of consistency compounds.
Yeah,
What do you
I think
think,
I've heard that
coach?
before.
You've heard it?
I've heard that before.
I keep
Yeah,
telling myself that the work works and that if you show up, that the consistency will compound. So this is exciting times for us because it's new days. We're learning as we go and we'll get better. I promise that we'll get better. Well, a little 1% every day, like Kobe. You got moves like Kobe, coach?
I've got moves. I don't know about like Kobe, but
Okay.
I've got moves.
All right. All right, coach. So, can you maybe just kick us off with an activation? Like, what's a win? I want to know what's a win in Coach Kenny's world this past week.
Man, just a win for me has been just as you said, showing up, being consistent. I solidified a client after the first initial conversation 7 months ago.
That's
That's a
what I'm
win.
talking about, coach.
That's a win.
And you know what? That's gold right in itself because so many of us are used to having immediate microwaved type of results. But what I think that culture and what we're used to, it's giving us a little bit of a illusion, right? We're a little delusional in terms of how we build relationships and how long that usually takes. It takes 7 to 15 touches on somebody to really nurture that and get them to know, like you enough to want to understand you. It's a cultivating. So 7 months, abundant seed sowing. Well done, my friends. I love that
Thank
win.
you. How about you?
Well, I would say that I have quite a bit going on, but I have been able to allocate time block, creative time to really get my frameworks out, my teaching frameworks, and I'm really working on my keynote right now. So that's a win, and I was able to apply for speaker showcase with brand builders, and that is like doing it scared, coach. It's doing it scared, but I'm doing it. And then we did a little application ourselves, and we're just getting in we're pulling our sleeves up, right? And this is where we get the social proof. So today we came to tease a bit of what shift the room means. So, coach, I really want to know from the bucket flipper himself what shifting the room means to you.
Well, we come into a room most of the time, and you just mentioned a minute ago that you have to build this trust. And we know in the know, like, and trust factor that's kind of immediate thing. That is not microwave. We've been building those relationships, but when you show up and shift the room, there's something different to about a presence. When you walk into the room, it's not that you're cocky or that you're conceited or there's something arrogant about yourself. There's something very good about carrying yourself very differently. And in that room, what you say, how you say it,
Yes.
what is it? What is the content that you are sharing? There's a value. All of that makes a huge difference. And now, one thing that really stood out to me was I had a school teacher tell me a couple of years ago that it said, it takes now for kids, and I think this is for the adults too that are even on any social platform, you basically have 7 seconds to win 'em.
7 seconds.
7 seconds to win them. And I'm like, that's what we're talking about. When you're going into a networking event, you're going into a client that you're looking to just add value to. When you're just going in these different spaces, and it could be even in your family space. I mean, we can be going into the kitchen with kids running around or whatever else. What does it look like when you shift the room? What are you doing to show up? And there's something about how your posture is, how your presence looks,
Yeah.
and not just presence, but are you present? That's key. Yes.
I pull that out with my kids because I got 4 boys. So sometimes you just gotta, give them one of them.
It's that right there.
Yeah, it's one of those. But I did want to add this because I was thinking about it this morning. And I love that you shared it like from a male perspective, what this thing, executive presence and presence, what's that really mean? I think there's like a little bit of eye roll, right? I think when people hear it, they're kind of like, I don't know what that means. But I believe that executive presence and values aligned contribution, like when somebody really has done the work, become aware and really clear on their values, and they're standing on them and leading with them, it's then that they're going to be able to operate from purpose. That's a word we both really like. Their care and just how they care, how they show up, the cadence of their face, their character, and then that conviction, that all knowing, it's all visible. It's all aligned. It's like, it's speaking without having any words, right? And so it's how the person is making decisions, how they're communicating, how they're carrying themselves, what they're wearing. It all does matter. So like, executive presence is not like, a fashionistic, it's not that. It is very much a purpose anchored conviction that shows up in how a person is owning the room. And when somebody's purposed, I find in like the work that I do with my clients, at the end of it, you see the conviction. There's like no denying it. So, and that lines up with how they're showing up, the colors that they're using, all of the things that they are doing to build their character and their growth and just their intentionality. It's all showing up, and it speaks before they even speak. That's the kind of executive presence foundation that I wanted to share, like at the beginning stages of this, because I think there's a lot of like bad raps that go on out there. And so from the female perspective, from the perspective of like someone who loves expression, it's part of my top values. I love expression. I love bold colors. But I certainly have a seat at the table. And so is a lot of other people who have their own unique authenticity that they're bringing to the table, and that all-knowing conviction and that purpose clarity. It's like you can shift the room when you've tapped into that. And every single person, I'm a huge believer that every person has that ability to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to start with this though, and you can. I want you to speak this as well. I think when there's an awareness, and the awareness is not just you, the awareness is when you walk into the room, when you understand that no matter where there's a couple things going on. Trustworthiness. The folks that are out there asking, do I trust this person? I mean, you just have to have the awareness of, hey, if you can address these questions, then you use the word conviction. Do they really believe what they're saying? Now, that's a good one, because you and I both know we've been in those rooms where they didn't necessarily believe what they're talking about. And you can tell there's not a conviction in them. I forgot who it was. Maybe it's George Whitfield and Ben Franklin. Maybe there's those two as a conversation years ago. And he was on stage. I think this is George Whitfield speaking, and somebody interviewed Ben and said, "Well, hey, what do you think about George?" Says, "Well, I don't necessarily agree with everything he's saying, but he sure believes what he's talking about."
Yeah.
I mean, that right there in itself, and I could be getting the two guys mixed up there, but there's that conviction. But also, there's this one last question that the people in the audience are asking: is that person worth following?
Yeah.
That brings you into a different posture in the room, because there is a humility that you do exude as well. So I just wanted to bring that. What's your thought? Speaking of that.
It's like layering a cake. It really is. And it is multidimensional. It's deep, right? And so this work that I do with my clients, so we go through 8 floors before we can get all mic'd up and get on the stage. So it really is. There's levels to this thing. And so what Coach Kenny and I are doing is bringing this world-class resource from Maxwell Leadership executive program that essentially gets you fully prepped to be able to have that conviction and courage to step on stage and really share your message. And we're not talking to like big stage speakers. They don't need our kind of stuff, right? We're almost the 101 in a way. This is creating a safe, psychologically safe place to learn. This stuff is kind of stretching. Public speaking is scary. Speaking in front of others and taking our masks off and showing up fully who we are is really a process. It's a build, and you need a specific kind of room. And that is what we're building.
Yeah, we just want to create a space for you to get in the room and hone your craft, overcome some of those fears that you have. And Coach Emily, I had this. This is one of my talks. But mostly the fears that speakers have, or people that have in general, is just speaking in front of a group. I mean, that they would rather die than to speak to a group of people. And this could be anything.
That was me.
Yeah.
Literally,
yeah.
that was me up until a couple years ago, where it was like I got pushed and was like, here's the mic, get up there. Literally.
Yeah. And you had to, yeah. So somebody knew that you had to be thrust into that, but they would rather do that. So one of the fears that I had, this is one thing, and this again is in my talk, but I had a fear of standing in front of a group of people, because I was an educator. So I was in front of I was in front of middle school, high school kids. Okay. And so standing up, what my biggest fear was? I'm gonna let you guess. What was my biggest fear?
Knowing you, Coach Kenny, I don't know, maybe not getting enough impact, right as you see it and experiencing it with your group, like just not sure if you're connecting, or having that kind of overarching question or imposter syndrome voice, maybe.
Yeah, and that's really good. That's a really good guess, and it was none of that at all. I felt like I had that pretty well. I felt like I connected with them good. I mean, I was kind of one of them anyway. I was not much older than they were anyway, so I was kind of having fun. My biggest fear was, and it was not just there, but in general, was like what happened one day. I had a young lady raise her hand in the room, and she could not put her hand down. Now, one thing I was taught in school was, you don't let any of the kids ask a question at the beginning of class, because you'll never regain your class back. So I was like, really, like, I understood that. I said, okay, here, and I'm a new teacher. I've got, don't answer the question. You got to just keep plowing forward and then answer it toward the end of the class. About 5 to 8 minutes into it, I finally just gave in and said, yes, ma'am, what is it? And she revealed my biggest fear in front of people.
Okay.
And she said, Mr. Sexton, is your fly afraid of heights?
I should have known this.
Yes. I mean, I was standing up there in front of this classroom, and my pants were unzipped. Now, I'm like, for a guy, here I am. I mean,
This
I was
is why
like,
you're qualified.
oh my gosh. And I'm saying, so what do I do? Do I zip them up there? Do I turn around and try to be discreet? I mean, you can't be discreet. It's already been called out, Like here you are. This whole thing is you've been now but that was my biggest fear, and then the biggest fear came to be, and you know what I realized? Just like Roddy says all the time, when you finally get up there, you didn't die, did you? Like you didn't pass out, you didn't faint, you didn't fall on the floor. Hey, I overcome so I overcame one of my biggest fear is like, okay, well, it didn't destroy me, and
Right.
so okay,
Well, let
there we
me
go.
ask you this, because why do we want to keep doing it? Because there is a feeling that I don't think a lot of us talk about, because we go through such an emotional up and down when we go into the prep of connecting with people on stage and coming out of it. But the feeling that one can get when they have prepped, are clear, connected, and post meeting or post connection, and you know that you know that you know that you made an impact on that person, that is beyond success. That is the feeling of significance that you get to experience yourself. And like you do feel good, right? After you go through all the nerves of getting up on stage and doing it scared and sharing your message and kind of dealing with your own, because this is me, I'm talking to me. I always am really hard on myself every time I've had to speak in front of people, and I'm really like, how do I do better? But it's a good feeling whenever it's over. It's a sense of accomplishment, right? And somebody needs to hear this. There's a law of frequency. There's somebody out there that needs to hear you, what you have to say exactly, the way that you say it. And only they can hear it from you because of that. And so if this, like the fear of getting up there and doing it is holding you back, remember that one person that needs to hear from you. And so that's the one thing that helped me do it scared over and over and over again, and why I'm qualified coach, right? So we're both qualified here. We're fully human, and we're fighting the good fight, and we're getting better at our communication because it matters. And so in this room, that's really what we're doing. We've got 6 weeks, like a little, right? Little intro, little boot camp. And we're going to have a very clear, I help so-and-so do so-and-so so that. So you're going to be very clear on that, and we build. So we've got a 6-month and then a full year mastery with Coach Kenny and I. So we're not going to give you too much more here. We're closing this one up. This is just a little teaser. And we're going to come on here a little bit more. We promise to be on time in the future. Now that we've got the lives sorted out. But Coach, do you want to leave these guys with any parting remarks? Any bucket flipper moments? Or maybe the guitar in the background you want to strum us?
Yeah, I'll save the song today. Well, I'll leave with a quote. How about that? So one of the things that I've noticed over the years is that a lot of people, including myself, when you get up, and I'm sure it is with you, Coach Emily, you want to make that impact, as you said. You want to leave them an impact. And I think Covey said this, it said, seek not to speak, seek to have something to say. That one good quote right there, that's gold. In these 6 weeks, we're going to help you with that messaging.
That is beautiful. Thank you for that. I would say at this point, it's a wrap. It's 107. But are we going to come back? Are we going to do more of these lives, Coach? What do you think? We're coming.
We are. Let's do it.
We're coming back. Listen, guys, if this speaks to you, please reach out to us. We would love to have you join our next cohort. And until our next live, go be great.